the terms of office, the registration of a cooperative. We feel that upon registration, we felt that inclusive of the registration, there is a protection which we consider something as a bond, and I think that should be implemented at that stage. We know some credit unions and cooperatives would have been slipping away, ignoring that process. So that I think we need to address that situation. We say no to permanent shares. A member should have the ability to request their investment, whether it be shares or fixed deposit investments. There are stipulations where the board could use the discretion upon distributing to make sure that there's no financial impact on the organization, but it should be extended to the members of withdrawal of shares or transfer. And yes, to the deposit insurance, it should be mandatory, and we also included at a percentage. We know that a certain percent is covered by the insurance, but some sort of percent could be covered by the credit union or cooperative. That came in light of the previous organization being closed, and a lot of people would have had a hard time getting what they have input into the organization. So we are saying the insurance could cover a certain part, or let's say 75,000. I'm going with an exaggeration of somebody investing 100. We have coverage at 75 from the institution, and then the cooperative and the credit union could now contribute towards that fund to protect the investor with some sort of percentage. And that's our contribution.
Okay, thank you very much, Table 10. Can I call on Table 6 to add your new points?
Table 6 with policy, and it comprised of 2 teacher guides. They were from Scarborough RC and Mariah Government. So they have left, and these are their notes.
In summary.
So they have said, provide training for teacher guides, policies in which training could be provided for teacher guides. There should be a forum to encourage thrift among the students and the teachers, because what they were saying that in Red Cross or 4-H clubs, there is a time allotted for these groups, but for the junior cooperative, there isn't a time allotted. So they would have to be collecting monies all during the week, all during the day. So they are asking that a time be allotted for the collection of savings from the junior cooperative members. They also spoke about continuous education for students in the philosophy, principles, and values of cooperatives so that it could become a way of life for these students. They also asked if recognition for duties performed as teacher guides be given, such as certificates, awards, and it could be included in their performance appraisal. They also would like to encourage projects run by the junior cooperative to generate income and to encourage entrepreneurial skills, and that credit union should adopt a junior cooperative. And it was very heartening to hear the presenters saying that they would like to become involved with cooperative, because what they were saying is when they approached these credit unions to save, they were rejected, and they had to go to like Unit Trust Corporation to save. So it is very heartening to hear that the credit unions would like to work with the junior cooperative. They would like a software to be adopted so that less time could be spent in record keeping. In terms of governance, encourage compliance with the bylaws and financial auditing. So they would want to comply with the bylaws. They also ask for regular visits to monitor and advise teacher guides.
You could just summarize and just...
And the final point, develop junior cooperative, the councils, and in terms of promotion, to have quizzes and youth rallies and internship with credit unions, and to be visual in community projects in collaboration with credit unions. And also to have competition to encourage like best savers or the most consistent saver.
Thank you very much for the report on table 3. And I think we have...
My name is Edridge Gibbs. I represent the Tobago United Corporate Society. In keeping with the request of fund that we had, that we keep it simple, keep it short, and only include the things that were left out. The only thing that we had that was different was the suggestion made at the table that there be 2 commissioners, one in Trinidad and one in Tobago. And that was, yes, because it seemed there was that the concern that the things like arbitration and things that take quite a long time to get done, if they were done locally by a local commissioner, well then they would bypass the length of time. Not only that, but they said also that there should be some intermediary body between the commissioner and the units, so that whatever concern should go to that body, and then the commissioner be the final arbitrator, and that's in both cases, both Trinidad and Tobago. That's the only thing that we had is different from what other people said.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. I think you were very sure.
Without further ado, I'd like to invite Ms. Sangita Bundu to just take us through the way forward very quickly. Thank you. Please welcome her.
Senator the Honorable Jennifer Batiste Primus, Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development. Assemblyman Mr. Joel Jack, Secretary, Division of Finance and Enterprise Development, Tobago House of Assembly. Mr. Joseph Remy, President, Cooperative Credit Union League, Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Jennifer Danielle, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Labour, Small and Enterprise Development. Specially invited guests, stakeholders, cooperators, good afternoon. It is a privilege and joy to stand here today, having been part of the rich and meaningful consultative process that we undertook cooperatively today. One of the things made patently clear from these consultations is that the strength of the cooperative movement is not only in its financial base and unity, but, some might say more importantly, in the intellectual capacity and skills of its members, a capacity and skill set that is underlined by a tremendous amount of practical experience. As Minister would have outlined earlier, the formal process to amend the legislation governing the cooperative sector began in 2004, 12 years ago. A fact that can be intimidating and discouraging, especially given the many hours, nights, and days of work that have been part of this process. And yet we are still with the same 45-year-old legislation. The wise ones say that the only time you fail is when you give up. And we, both the ministry and the sector, as has been clear from the consultations, have not given up thus far. And as I dare say we begin the end of the journey, let us remind ourselves today that our presence here and participation in the consultation means we have not failed. My task at this point is deceptively simple. As we come to the close of this set of consultations, I am to outline for you the way forward. Having had the benefit of your expertise and knowledge, along with the benefit and expertise and knowledge of stakeholders in Trinidad, we will allow a few more days for the receipt of further comments submitted to the Ministry via the Commissioner for Cooperative Development. That time, however, will be limited, with comments expected for the latest within the next 3 weeks. Following the receipt of all comments, a committee will be created to collate and consider the comments received and prepare draft policy for consideration by the sector via internal consultations in March 2016. After the finalization of the draft policy, the Honourable Minister will present the draft policy to Cabinet for approval. Upon receiving the approval of the policy by Cabinet, the drafting of the revised legislation by the Chief Parliamentary Counsel in the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs will begin with the expectation and hope that a draft bill will be ready in the second quarter of this year. As I had advised before, the way forward promises us a future of more hard work so that we can together accomplish our aim of an updated and relevant cooperative policy and legislation. In closing, I reiterate the commitment of the Ministry to the updating of the policy and legislation and recognize that we at the Ministry cannot go it alone in order to get the job done. And we look forward to continued collaboration as we move towards the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bundu, for just outlining the steps forward. And we look forward to everyone completing their submissions within the next 2 weeks. At this point in time, I would like to invite the host organization today, the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Joel Jack, Secretary, Division of Finance and Enterprise Development, to just bring some closing remarks and just close off this day in the capital of paradise for us. I welcome Mr. Jack to the podium.
Thank you very much, sir. I trust that we all had an exciting day. Let me start by acknowledging Senator the Honorable Jennifer Baptiste Primus, Minister of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, Ms. Jennifer Daniel, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry. I also wish to acknowledge my own administrator, Mrs. Claire Davidson Williams, Mrs. Marcia London McKellar, Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, Mr. Carol Adams, Commissioner for Cooperative Development, Mr. Joseph Remy, President of the Cooperative Credit Union League of Trinidad and Tobago, and other representatives of the Cooperative and Credit Union movement. Dr. Ralph Henry in his absence, I'm not seeing him at the moment. Specially invited guests, the hardworking staff of the Cooperative Development Unit and the Communications Department, who worked very hard in putting together with the staff of the Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development. Could you give them a round of applause, please? Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, let me say I'm heartened by what I'm seeing this afternoon, because if my time is right, it's 4:15. It's a Friday afternoon, the beginning of the weekend, and your response and your body language tells me that you took with delight the serious nature of today's exercise, and at 4:15 you are still here, ready to give your contribution to Tobago's development and the future development of the cooperative movement on the island. Let me reassure everyone present here today that the Assembly, through the Division of Finance and Enterprise Development, will continue to work to assist both credit unions and cooperatives to address and surmount their existing challenges. I recall only last year, when the last government was looking to move forward with the enactment of the Credit Union Bill, as Secretary of Finance and Enterprise Development, I convened a meeting with the credit unions on the island to discuss the implications of the new bill. At the time, I did not march, although I was tempted to. But arising out of this meeting, I commissioned Carey Consultants, led by Dr. Ralph Henry, and I would dare say a friend of the credit union cooperative sector, to undertake a study to look at the implications of the new legislation and to detail our response to treating with the bill. The study intended to identify how credit unions might mobilize financial resources for Tobago's development and to identify measures that the THA might undertake to ensure that the special needs of Tobago's credit unions are preserved and protected within the changing legal environment. The report is being finalized, and just last week, several representatives of the credit unions here in Tobago, we met in this very same space to explore opportunities for the Assembly's partnership with this sector. It is hoped that the recommendations from this study and what we discuss here today will form part of the response to the new legislation, but it will also form part of a wider set of initiatives that will see the development and expansion of the credit union and cooperative sector on the island in the not too distant future. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said this morning, we are in challenging times. But why am I so excited and elated is that with challenging times brings with it a lot of opportunities. Many opportunities for us to explore new avenues for shaping the future of this sector. And I know that today's forum would have brought a number of ideas and initiatives to the fore. So as I close, let me again reaffirm the commitment of the Assembly and the Division of Finance to the cooperative movement and the credit union sector. And Minister, I look forward to us working together a lot closer, walking hand in hand to ensure the survival, the growth, the development, and expansion of the credit union movement within the next 5 to 10 years. With that said, I now take my leave and hand over to the Master of Ceremonies for this afternoon. But let me thank you again. I am really proud of all the participants, our friends from Trinidad, as well as everyone from the Tobago Credit Union movement. Your presence this afternoon, it says a lot, and it also speaks to the importance of the sector moving forward. And as Secretary, you have my support. I thank you.
And now I'd like to welcome our Minister, Senator the Honorable Jennifer Baptiste Primus, to the mic to bring her closing remarks. And as one of the major champions in this initiative, please, let's welcome her as she brings a close to these events.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Secretary for Finance and Enterprise Development, Mr. Joel Jack, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Labor, Small and Enterprise Development, and all other protocol observed. Good afternoon, Mr. Remy, and all other protocols observed. A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I'm doing some serious time management here. My manager of communications just told me, Minister, it takes 22 minutes from here to the airport. So she has worked it out down to the minutes. Firstly, allow me to express my gratitude to you, Mr. Joel Jack, Secretary for Finance, Enterprise Development, and to my fellow Tobago cooperators, brothers and sisters. I thank you for the warm reception received today during this consultative process. As part of a government in action, it became necessary for me to attend to other matters during this, my first official visit to Tobago in my capacity as Minister of Labor et al. I had to pay a courtesy call, and I'm really cutting it to the bone. I had a very interesting, productive courtesy visit to the Chief Secretary, Mr. Orville London, and also a meeting with the Secretary for Labor and Settlements, and then came back here and had a working lunch with the Secretary for Finance and Enterprise Development, along with the Chairman of NEPCO and the Director representing the Tobago House of Assembly. And we have laid the platform upon which a very solid and mutually beneficial relationship will be built. I must say that I am comforted by the fact that a serious discussion is being fashioned on the way forward out of today's discussion, and the Ministry's collaboration with the Tobago House of Assembly is one of the first avenues of cooperation to achieve maximum results. I am informed that very healthy discussions were held among yourselves, particularly in determining the way forward. To this end, I am very pleased that the Tobago arm of this beloved movement has engaged in the process of preserving the legacy of cooperatives as part of your social fabric. Today's presentation has illustrated that cooperatives have always played a central role in the social structure of Tobago. Cooperatives have enabled individuals, communities, and sector developments across Tobago for a number of decades, and it is with this in mind that your contributions collectively to the growth and development of the national movement becomes even more essential. Fellow cooperators, it is our intention to pool the information gathered from both consultations, the one in Trinidad and this one here today, excuse me, and to develop a draft document, a draft comprehensive policy for your consideration before that draft policy being placed before the Cabinet for approval. If you believe that the time was not nearly enough for you to fully ventilate your issues and comprehensively articulate the Tobago movement's stance on pertinent matters, I implore you to continue to make contributions through the many avenues being provided for feedback, including through the Office of the Commissioner for Cooperatives or via our ministry's website. Ladies and gentlemen, it is this ministry's intention to continually treat with all our stakeholders' needs, primarily through the consultative process. We will continually share the progress in resolving critical issues through all our agencies and divisions. The presentation from or by Dr. Ralph Henry, Chairman of Kyrie Consultants at today's proceedings, highlighted the relevance of cooperatives even in Tobago modernized era. My understanding is that Dr. Henry's presentation emphasized the space for cooperatives in Tobago to make a difference in the areas such as entrepreneurship, youth and finance, and accentuates the role of cooperatives in efforts to diversify the economy. Having been exposed to the teachings of Dr. Ralph Henry for, let's say, a number of years, I am quite assured that his research and subsequent recommendations can solidify the outcomes of your discussions. Once again, I take the opportunity to acknowledge Dr. Henry and Kyrie Consultants for their outstanding efforts in ensuring the relevant empirical evidence exists to strengthen the movement's enterprise towards self-sustainability, growth, and development. And this is one aspect about the cooperative credit union movement that I'm personally proud of. and I've said it at the Trinidad consultation, and I think it is worthy of being repeated here, that the movement did not respond to the former administration attempt to treat you all as a financial institution, as a bank. You all did not respond emotionally, but you all responded in a manner that makes it very difficult for any administration to ignore your sound, cogent, well-researched counter-arguments, and I commend you for that. And we thank Dr. Henry also, and we would also like to thank Mayor and Company, that legal firm. Fellow cooperators, your contributions have also identified the need to improve efficiency, upgrade management skills, and staff development to compete effectively in this dynamic business sector. The importance of sound governance and business practices cannot be understated. This government acknowledges that cooperative-specific legislation can, among other things, establish governance controls and set up a prudential supervisory framework for all institutions in the sector. In concluding, ladies and gentlemen, as we chart a way forward for the cooperative sector, this government once again assures you that it will take on board all of your concerns today and those in the future. And I assure you that any decisions taken in the final analysis will contribute to the betterment of the entire sector and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The discussion cell will contribute to decisions that will be positive for the development of the cooperative movement. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation in this consultative process. I am aware, and I want to echo the words of the Secretary for Finance and Enterprise Development. I am aware of the Tobago culture, very, very much aware. I spent 12 years as the president of PSA, and every month came to Tobago and spent a week. I have traversed the entire island. And I know, on a Friday afternoon, at 4:30, I look and I see all the tables occupied. You have signaled to me that this consultation was very, very important. And more so, on a Friday evening, just before Carnival, I commend you twice. I want to urge you all to continue with this level of seriousness, because what you did today will determine the survivability and longevity of this union, this movement that has seen and contributed towards the people's sector and the growth and development of the ordinary man. I thank you all very much. God bless our nation. God bless Trinidad and Tobago. God bless our Honorable Prime Minister, the President of this Republic, the Leader of the Opposition, and the leaders of the credit union movement. And God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening, a blessed and restful weekend. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Such inspiring words to close today's session. And it's really hard to follow those remarks. But I will do so by saying thank you, everyone, for coming out here today, contributing to this process. We look forward to your continued involvement. Get home safe and have a blessed and productive weekend. Thank you.